Welcome to Monday, folks. It's the Fallon Forum broadcasting live here from the Skywalk in downtown Des Moines, from the Webcast One studio across from Palmer's Deli. If you see us wave, I won't wave back because my back is to the window because I get distracted very, very easily. We've got a lot on our agenda today. We're going to discuss the vote tomorrow in Greene County. Yep, if you're a Greene County resident, you get to vote tomorrow on whether or not you want to have a casino. We'll talk about that later in the program. Excuse me. Also, Max Wellman going to join us. We've got a lot of music today. Max Wellman's going to talk about some of his upcoming events. Got an interesting concert coming up next week. And we're going to talk climate change as well. Oh, big surprise there, right? Well, Channing Dutton's going to join us. He's a local attorney who spends a lot of time studying this issue. And we're going to discuss James Hansen's latest paper on the climate crisis. Also, we're going to look at what Lee Camp has to say regarding NASA's take on climate change. And it ain't pretty. You know, Lee can be pretty serious and pretty, and it can get pretty depressing sometimes hearing his take on things. He's rarely wrong, though. But I think there's an element of hope to be seen in this report as well. We're going to also talk about, Governor Branstad, it just keeps going. He just keeps digging his hole deeper. Before we get into that, though, I do want to thank some of my sponsors. I want to thank the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club, also Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility, and the Great March for Climate Action. And, you know, if you're not a member of the Sierra Club or PSR, good idea. You should join. And you don't have to be a doctor to be a member of PSR. And in terms of the Climate March, well, Climate March is not it's not a membership organization, but we're looking for people who might want to, spend 8 months walking across America next year. So support all the groups that help make the show possible, including, of course, the businesses. We have about a dozen local businesses that help make this show happen. One is Gateway Marketing Cafe, and this segment of our conversation is sponsored by Gateway. I want to also thank the Story County Veterinary Clinic on Highway 30 between Ames and Nevada. Dr. Kim Holding has been practicing her magic on various critters for the last 32 years, so give her a shout if you need some help with one of your pets. Also, folks, Dan Kelly. Dan Kelly is a real estate agent. In his spare time when he's not doing a great job as a legislator, he buys and sells residential and commercial in Newton. So if you're looking for something to do in Newton property-wise, give Dan Kelly a shout. Okay, so we have talked about Speedgate and Governor Branstad's ongoing problems with the incident in northern Iowa, which, again, because of things he's done, it's not going to go away. It's going to be an issue that continues to haunt him, I think, for quite a while here. It's going to be in the courts. He's got his handpicked guy to come and do an investigation. We'll see how well that goes. People are continuing to talk about it. Some people are even writing about it. Some people are singing about it. And I have in the studio with me Frank Strong. Frank is a longtime friend and fellow traveler in the world of music, and has done. I've seen him perform. Maybe you've seen him as well. He gets around a lot. Frank, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Ed, for having me here today.
Yeah, and you've got a harmonica attached to you, and you've got a guitar. I would not be surprised if you've got a cymbal or some kind of percussion hidden under the table.
Yeah, I'm going to be kicking the table, too.
Kicking the table, all right. Well, what are you going to sing for us?
Well, this is a Junior Brown song called Highway Patrol. Would you like me to play it?
Sure. Have you doctored it up at all?
I massaged it. I got a star on my car and one on my vest, gun on my waist and the right to arrest. I'm the boss man on this highway. You better watch what you're doing when you're going my way. See me coming at, you better drive slow. I'm working for the governor, I'm the highway patrol. You'll know me when you see me, 'cause my door's painted white, my siren's screaming and my flashing red light. I work all day and then I work all night to keep law and order and to do what's right. You see me coming, you better drive slow. I'm working for the state, I'm the highway patrol. I'm the highway patrol, the highway patrol. My hours are long, my pay is low. Doing my best to keep you driving slow. I'm doing my job, I'm the highway patrol. Driving too fast like you shouldn't do, you can bet your boots I'm coming after you. If you want to race, get on a racetrack. You try to get away, I'm gonna bring you back. You see me coming, Governor, you better drive slow. I'm working for the state, I'm the highway patrol. Yeah, the highway patrol, the highway patrol. My hours are long, my pay is low. I'm doing my best to keep you driving under 90. I'm doing my job, I'm the highway patrol.
Oh, no. All right. That was fun. That was fun. Have you had a chance to perform that for Governor Branstad since the speeding incident?
Well, he hasn't asked, but I sure would like to.
Okay. Well, I would like to be there if and when you do. Maybe just break into that at one of his Tuesday press conferences at the State House, you know?
Well, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow, right?
Well, it would be tomorrow. Yeah. And so, I mean, what is your take on this, on Speedgate? I mean, some people think it's being blown out of proportion. Certainly it makes for fun material for songwriters and musicians in generally, but do you, I mean, what is your angle on this?
Well, the way I see it, Ed, is it seems like the governor and some of his people are really above the law that they're supposed to be executing, and so I think it's just wrong. It's a public safety issue. I mean, shoot, somebody going 90 miles an hour, it takes a long time to stop that vehicle. It takes a lot longer than if you're going 60 or 70, you know, if you're driving the speed limit. So that's my take on it. I just think, that he ought to follow the laws that he's been elected to maintain and to keep.
Yeah, and it seems like, in trying to do everything he can to vindicate himself, he's just making the problem worse. I mean, if he hadn't fired Larry Hedlund, the guy'd been suspended, and that went on a while. If he said, okay, we're gonna let you back. We made our point. We'll let you have your job back. But instead of doing that, he fires the guy. And what does that do? That lands him a lawsuit, And now he's trying to preempt the lawsuit by putting Louis Lavarado in charge of an investigation. But it just everything that happened just seems to continue to keep the issue in front of the public eye. Right?
That's right. That's right.
I mean, if it had happened next summer, it would have been even more prominent because we're getting that much closer to the election. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, what else is new in your world, Frank? Just you're again one of the many reasons why Des Moines has become the cultural and culinary crossroads of America, and you've been doing this for a long time. Even you've been cool in Des Moines back before Des Moines was a place to be cool.
Well, I've been having a lot of fun, that's for sure, Ed. And you're a great supporter of the arts, and I think the arts are what really makes a community worth living in. And so we've seen great strides around here artistically. So I'm really thrilled to be part of it. It's been a kind of a phoenix arising from what it once was not too many years ago. And so it's great stuff. And I do a lot with I play a lot of schools, and I play at Boone and Scenic Valley. I do a lot with kids, and I just love it. It's live music is becoming like an endangered species. So I really
well, this is true. That more and more folks are switching to canned music, but I think there's a reaction to that because people realize there's something very valuable on having the actual performer right there in your midst.
Absolutely,
it's an experience you can't replicate with a recording.
No, and whenever you have a live performance, something happens that you're not anticipating.
Right. Have you noticed in recent years, as Des Moines has become more culturally hip, have you noticed more work coming your way?
Oh yeah, it's steady for me. I play old folks' homes and that kind of thing. And I guess that's not politically correct, but that's what I call it. So I don't know. One of these days they're going to keep me, so I guess I might as well be.
You're
nice.
going to go in there to do a gig and they won't let you out again, right?
And I'll say, no, I'm not Ed Fallon. No.
Well, no, you're talking about visiting a nursing home or a prison.
Well, I haven't visited too many prisons, but I have visited a prison. So
I visited a lot of prisons, but only overnighted at one county jail. Anyway.
Oh, okay. I'm sure.
And I look really, really dashing in an orange jumpsuit, by the way. I'm tempted to make it my photograph to go along with this program, but we won't. Maddie would be embarrassed.
Yeah, I think she would.
All right. Frank Strong, folks. Frank, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for sharing your talent. Thanks for helping me have a little fun with and it's a really serious issue, but you can't help but have a little fun with it. And gosh, the Highway Patrol doctored up a little bit to accommodate Governor Branstad's foibles. Why not? Hey, if folks want to book you for a gig or just learn more about your music, what do they do?
rrsongs.com is my website.
RR?
Like railroad, yeah.
Okay, songs.com.
rrsongs.com, and they can call me on my cell. It's 515-314-3843.
314-3843.
That's it.
Frank,
right.
Frank Strong, folks. Frank, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, when we come back from a break here, we're going to talk about climate change. We're going to talk. I want to talk a little bit more about Governor Branstad's problems in a different sector. This is relevant to agriculture and water quality. But we're also going to talk climate change and look at James Hansen's latest report, latest research on the subject. There's a little bit more to talk about on the climate change front, too, because Lee Camp has a new video out that's worth looking at. Again, I want to thank Gateway Marketing Cafe for sponsoring this segment of our show. You know, I did a 6-mile walk last night to, again, get myself in shape for next year's epic climate march. And I landed at Gateway Market just in time. I'm so glad it's open till 10 at night because there are some days I just can't get there earlier. So I get there at like 9:30, plenty of time to shop, and my breakfast opportunities were much more generous because of it. So again, Gateway Market, a great place for groceries, but also for breakfast, lunch, and supper, and a catering service as well. I also want to thank Community CPA and Associates, Iowa's 10th largest accounting and tax firm, located on Ingersoll Ave at 3816 Ingersoll, in fact. Also, I want to thank Diana's Wedding Cakes. You got a cake you need for not just a wedding, for any kind of big celebration. Give Diana's Wedding Cakes a chance to show you what they can do in terms of a fantastic centerpiece. Again, more information about all my sponsors, business and otherwise, on the Fallon Forum website, www.fallonforum.com. I will be back in just 2 minutes.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 of webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait.
Howdy.
And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going, man.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back to the Fallon Forum. Condolences to Channing Dutton. He was supposed to join me today, but death in the family, and sorry to hear that. Hope everything's going well in terms of dealing with that as best as can be expected. I do want to thank the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit for sponsoring this segment of our program, and also I want to thank Sargent's Garage at 6th and College. Great place to go. I mean, they've done a fantastic job on my cars. I mean, I know I don't drive very often, but gosh, you still want your car to work when you get out there, and it ain't working. That's not good. When you get out there and there's a maple tree going out of the windshield, that's kind of fun. It does not affect the performance of the car at all. What does affect it is bad mechanic attention, and I've never seen that happen at Sargent's. And everybody I've recommended to Sargent's has always come away quite happy. So, folks, check them out. That's Sargent's Garage at 6th and College. Also, I want to thank the Fighting Burrito. Originally from Ames, the brainchild of Matthew Goodman, a city council member actually, he was a Fighting Burrito guy before he was a city councilman. That in Ames is located on 117 Welch Ave, also in Des Moines at 13th and Locust. I like a lot of cilantro on my burritos, and it's at the Fighting Burrito. You can get that along with a whole bunch of other great options. So check them out, folks, at Fighting Burrito. Okay, so I'm going to save the conversation about James Hansen's recent report on climate change for when Channing can join us, because he's got a particularly important take on that. I want to go back to Governor Branstad here a minute on a different issue. The Speedgate thing is bad news. There's a level of arrogance there that I think offends a lot of people. But it's not, and as dangerous as it is to have the governor out tooling along at 90 miles an hour, an even greater danger is the water quality issue. That's, I mean, maybe harder for us to wrap our minds around because you just don't see it barreling down the highway at you. But it's there, and Reiko Basu did a great job at writing about this on I think Sunday's paper. The EPA has been much friendlier toward Iowa's water quality and the general public than has our government, and they have for a long time said, "Hey, we are not doing a good job," and they have threatened to take over management of Iowa's waterways from the DNR, from state government, if we don't get our act together. Because, the truth is, what flows through Iowa's rivers is our water for a very short period of time. It comes from somewhere else, for the most part, and it flows somewhere else, and as it does, it carries our problems and our mistakes and our negligence with it. Just ask the shrimp industry down in Louisiana, where I believe the dead zone is as big as the state of Connecticut. Okay, you're saying, well, Connecticut, not that big. No, it's a big area. When you're relying on fish shrimping for your living, it's pretty big. Okay, so what is Governor Branstad's role in this? Well, you would think he should be advocating for water quality. You think he would be, on the side of the vast number of people who are affected by this. Again, even if he wants to disregard the people downstream, we in Iowa are significantly affected by our river's water quality. So what Branstad is doing, as Reika points out in her column, is he's He's inviting the industries responsible for the pollution, responsible for the EPA saying, hey, your water is polluted and we're going to take over management if you don't get your act together. The very industries responsible for that pollution, those are the ones the governor is inviting to help craft an enforcement plan against themselves. And this is probably an old metaphor, and I've thought of it in this context as have others, as did Reka. If this is not an example of putting the fox in charge of the chicken coop, I don't know what is. It's just, you guys. I mean, it isn't like it's like speculation as to where the problem is coming from. And there is an urban element to this as well, but the vast majority of Iowa's land is in agriculture, and some of it is well managed. It's not you're not seeing soil run off into the water. You're not seeing nitrates run into the water, but a lot of it is problematic. A lot of it is poorly managed. Gosh, I saw a photograph the other day of somebody this very year who had planted their corn crop right up to the edge of the river, and that was in March or April. And so what's happening now? Well, that corn crop is in the river. You can see it just falling into the river, along with what? All the nitrates that were applied in the spring or the fall. And the soil itself, it's unconscionable that should be allowed. And the very entities that are causing this problem are the ones that Branstad wants to write the plan on how we enforce violations of water quality standards. And that he can even think that this is something that makes sense is incredible to me. Okay, so it was about a year ago, again, as Reka points out, that the EPA found that Iowa had been failing to adequately enforce environmental regulation of livestock farms in particular. Okay, so in the end, I don't even like to use the word farms when we talk about livestock anymore. There are still folks, and actually there are more folks all the time, who are trying to raise livestock responsibly. And I don't fault the small farmer who has a small confinement that he or she can contain the nutrients, the manure and the nutrients from that on their property, who are behaving responsibly. I don't have trouble with that. I mean, I think personally, I'd like to see my pork, raised in hoop houses or pastured or somehow some other type of, more free range approach. But I understand there are cases where folks would probably need to or want to have a small building for those animals. So that's not my beef, no pun intended, is with the big corporations who have come into this state largely. I mean, some of them, like Iowa Select, may be native to Iowa, but they're doing as bad a job as it used to be DeCoster and Smithfield and Murphy and all the Premium Standard and whatnot. I mean, these corporations are raping our land, polluting our water, and now they're being given the authority by Branstad to help oversee developing a plan to regulate them. Okay? Now, again, it isn't like the governor just was out front and open about what he was doing. No, of course not. It took Iowa Citizens for Community Improvement, Iowa CCI, to obtain, and I don't even quite know how they pulled this off, but they obtained these letters that make it very clear that both Governor Branstad and Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds were, as Reka points out, quote, running interference on behalf of agricultural interests to derail proposed enforcement measures. Okay? Again, we shouldn't be surprised that they're doing this, but the fact that Governor Branstad always calls for open government, for transparency, for being clear about what government is doing, where it's going, what are its intentions, and then to do this. So this letter says, here's a quote from the letter. It says, "Our philosophy is to proactively work with farmers as partners who are under the state's regulatory jurisdiction to ensure an understanding of the rules, regulations, and best practices instead of using the gotcha approach in initiating investigations broadly." Now, that sounds all very wonderful, but again, when Branstad says farmers, he doesn't necessarily mean the little family farmer. He means the big guys that are causing the problem. When he says partner, he means to the greatest extent possible, state government is going to look the other way. And that they're also going to, well, I know the whole gist of this, of course, is voluntary compliance with rules and regulations, not any kind of a carrot or stick. And the problem with voluntary compliance is we've been doing that and it hasn't been working. So for those who claim, well, we've got to be given a chance to work on this, we'll pull it off. No, you've had your chance. We have been way more tolerant than we need to be. You've had your chance. It's time for a more aggressive approach that puts the public interest first. Okay. So what else? There, it wasn't just this one letter. There were apparently this is another letter from the governor called EPA officials together. It brought the DNR and, this is key, it brought agricultural industry leaders in for meetings. Okay? Now, I'm not even sure that was legal. I mean, maybe that's being looked into. But, again, as Reika points out, violators should not be brought to the table. They should be sanctioned. And that's CCI's point as well. And again, not just CCI. The Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club has also been very aggressive on this. And again, they come at it more from a natural resource point of view. There are plenty of other angles on this as well. Drinking water. Again, the concern about what happens downstream to other people. There's lots of angles on this. Now, the Sierra Club had pointed out that this isn't about writing new rules where industry input could be valuable. It's about enforcing the rules that we already have, the rules that are already being violated. Again, more than 600 Iowa lakes, rivers, and streams just last year, 600 bodies of water in Iowa were deemed by the EPA to be, the word they use is impaired. Now that's 600. I mean, I didn't even know we had that many waterways in Iowa. 600 of them are impaired. And that problem, of course, is caused by the runoff of fertilizer, soil itself. Hog manure is a big part of it. And that results in the excess of nitrates in the water. Again, we've had, this is incredible too. We've had 800 manure spills in 18 years. 800 manure spills. And why the figure 18? 18 years ago, that's when House File 519 was enacted. And I was on the Ag Committee that year fighting it. That was the bill that created this uneven playing field that has allowed these big corporations to come in and dominate hog production. And if you're under any doubt at all that that's what's happened, just consider one important fact. Prior to House File 519, prior to 1995, there were over 70,000 hog farms in Iowa. There were 70,000 hog producers. Today, there are less than 8,000, and the vast majority of them are controlled, operated by these big confinement entities. Sometimes they do that through a contract arrangement, and I understand how family farmers feel they have no option but to raise hogs on contract. It's because the rules are stacked against the average, the average and small family farmer. The rules are stacked against them. And here we have Governor Branstad making sure that even attempts that we've seen by the EPA to create rules, to enforce rules, and now he's finding ways of circumventing even that. Again, 800 manure spills in the last 18 years. All right. Well, we have plenty of allies on our side, folks. Obviously, Iowa CCI, the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club, and also some of the folks who process our water, make sure it's clean. Bill Stowe with the Des Moines Water Works. He was on this program talking about this a little while back. He's talking about potentially suing the EPA to make sure that the limits that they have placed on pollution are enforced. So again, the state with Branstad leading the way is going to try to make sure that voluntary compliance continues. We know it will fail. We just know it's going to fail. Again, the evidence is out. It's going to fail. All right, and but the governor continues in that direction, not because he wants to see our waters. I mean, I can't. I always try to look at I always try to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, But I am so done with Governor Branstad. I mean, the guy is absolutely, I've never, even when he was governor back in the mid-90s, when I served in the legislature and got to know him a little better, this is a much worse governor than I've ever seen. And here, this is just a great example. I mean, to be totally in the pocket of big business on this, totally in the pocket of the large confinement operators, to the point where our water is no longer safe, to the point where we have to have the federal government, we have to have Big Brother come in and tell us how to keep our water clean. I don't want that. I don't want Washington, D.C. telling me how to manage our water here in Iowa. They shouldn't have to. We should be big boys and girls and be able to do this ourselves. Apparently, though, it ain't going to happen. And again, my hat's off to CCI for finding the smoking gun on this issue with Governor Branstad clearly making it very emphatically clear that he is on the side of the big operators, the people who have actually been violating the law, and now he wants to put them in charge of enforcing it. Okay, well, I will be shocked if that issue does not continue to stay front and center as well, because I mean, folks, there's probably no more important resource in this state than our water. And if we can't keep that clean, if we've got to have the federal government come in and clean it up for us, that's embarrassing. You know, we're a progressive state overall. We generally do the right thing. And if we can't do the right thing on this issue, we've got some serious issues to address. Again, I want to thank the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit for sponsoring this segment of our show and remind folks that if you'd like to go into business for yourself, this is the place to be on November 9th at Drake University. A whole day of instruction on what you can do to write a business plan, how you deal with the changes in the Affordable Care Act, what you do regarding new changes to the tax code. Last year, about nearly 500 people showed up, and about 100 new business startups came out of the IES. So again, only $35 for a full day of great instruction from professionals and experts. Check it out online, iesusa.org. I also want to thank Tally's Restaurant, Bar, and Catering, one of my favorite restaurants up in the Beaverdale neighborhood. Again, Chef Robert Sanda, and chef and also owner, comes up with some creative ideas that are always delicious. And my favorite place to enjoy them this time of the year, on the rooftop or on the street side patio as well. I also want to thank Hawk Restaurant. Hawk is owned by Suman and Cynthia Hawk, and it's in the East Village. 90% of the food that they buy comes from local farms, local producers, and you can tell the flavor is incredible. The selection is fantastic. Check them out as well, folks. That's Hawk Restaurant. I will be back in just a couple minutes. We're going to talk with Max Wellman about his upcoming concert, and also take a look at the casino vote coming up in Greene County.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
That's Max Wellman, and we're back to our conversation here on the Fallon Forum. I want to talk a little bit about climate change, and we do want to talk with Channing Dutton eventually about James Hansen's new study. But NASA has released some mapping, shall we say, that paints a very, very dire picture of the increase in the global temperatures. There's a very serious issue, and I want to talk about it from a serious point of view, but when Lee Camp releases one of his clever and cutting videos on a subject like that, I think it's worth sharing. So let's, despite it being an extremely serious topic, let's go to this video with Lee Camp.
Clarity coming to you today from Edinburgh, Scotland. The other day, NASA released a temperature rise video that I've given the name We're by 2100. Too subtle? The We're video shows what the Earth will be like if the CO2 in the atmosphere continues on its current path, and it makes the problems in the movie Independence Day seem downright manageable. Now don't worry, here's the part of the video where I say we can handle this. And it's true, it would only take a small percentage of the population to bring about all the change we need, but only if we get off our asses and do it now. And the most exciting part about this is it gives us a chance to test the Pentagon's ability to deal with our dissent. You see, Guardian News is reporting that the Pentagon is gearing up for increased public fury over oncoming climate and energy madness. Geez, I wonder what gave them the idea that we might start to get a little restless. Was it the tornado/forest fire that just wound its way through that dude's living room that you thought might cause tempers to run a little high? Was it the fact that that other guy's Jack Russell Terrier just got sucked up into the eye of a hurricane that made you think we might get a little red under the collar? Or was it when that pickup truck from 3 towns over landed on my neighbor that made you think I might just lose it a little? And of course, the mere idea of the Pentagon, of our government preparing to defend itself against the American people is, how shall I put this, a little disturbing. But that's for another video. The question here is, what do we do about climate change? You and I are just normal people trying to get by. You just want to relax with some pinkberry and some Cadbury and some Manilow, berry. We all do. But this first part is really easy. Just talk about this NASA report. Keep it in the top of people's minds. Large change only happens when we reach a cultural tipping point, and like a fat kid on a seesaw, some people have more effect on the tipping than others. But
Lee, as always, nails it. And yeah, what to do about the fact that a small group of people can change things, but we've got to get our butts in gear, as he says. That's what this whole climate march thing is about, folks. This march is about a small group, 1,000. Again, in the big scheme of things, 1,000 people is not a lot. I tell you, figuring out logistics on how to feed provide water for, adequate porta potties, tents. Yeah, it's a huge logistical challenge. But in the big scheme of things, when you're looking at a global population of almost 7 billion, a U.S. population of 330 million, 1,000 people is not a lot, but it can have a huge impact. And that's Lee's point. And if you look at history, yes, that's what happens. A small group of people who are dedicated, committed, passionate, and just relentless about an obvious and necessary social change, whether it be women's rights to vote, the liberation of slaves, civil rights in the 60s, the nuclear arms race in the 80s. You know, when you look at how history is made, it's made by people, you know, in reasonably small groups who are just relentless. Great movie, and maybe some of you have seen this movie, Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace, amazing movie about William Wilberforce. I've always had trouble with his name. William Wilberforce, a member of the British Parliament, who for 25 years fought to abolish slavery in Britain. And they got it done before we were even close to doing it in this country. Now, again, it wasn't just him, but he was a key leader in that effort. And, you know, and to have, as the NASA report makes it really clear, we are in a world of hurt with the direction the temperatures are going on this planet. We are in a world of hurt. And we really don't know how this is all going to play out. But we do know that if we do nothing, if we don't change the way we live, if we don't prepare for the scenarios that are likely coming our way, then yeah, things are going to look really, really ugly. If we can begin to really change the way we behave and turn things around, things might look a lot better. So again, I think that's how this climate march is potentially going to impact this conversation about climate change. It's big, it's bold, it's in your face for 8 months, and it involves that committed core of people that Lee Camp was talking about. Again, it's not that there aren't other people doing good work out there as well. Certainly the work of 350.org and Physicians for Social Responsibility and others, their leadership on this is also key and has done a lot to elevate the importance of this issue. So we need all those little groups of committed people making a difference. And I thank Lee for that video. And yeah, let's make sure we keep that NASA report in front of people. Let's make sure that's something we continue to discuss. All right, we're going to switch gears here. And I got to go to a short break. But before we do, I want to remind people who might happen to live in Greene County that tomorrow, a casino vote. Warren County just got done with one. Apparently now it's Greene County's turn. I love the language that some of these people are using. Can casino gambling help save the future of Greene County? Wow, I didn't know Greene County was that bad off. Some would argue that the reason Greene County is losing residents lately is because of the proliferation of hog confinements. In fact, I know a family that moved out of Greene County specifically to get away from hog confinements proliferating all around them. So, I'm of the mindset that a casino is not the panacea that some Greene County residents would like to think it is. That your best approach is to try to maintain that strong quality of life that is nurtured not by big confinements and big casinos, but by lots of small businesses, small farms, attractive tourism and recreational opportunities. Heck, you got a great bike trail going through there. So that's one thing you can play off. So we'll see how the vote goes tomorrow. But if you do live in Greene County, I would encourage you to vote, even if you vote the other way than I would. It's always better to see. I used to say, if I could lose an election with 95% of the people voting, I would be happy with that. I just think the worst thing in the world is to see a very, very small turnout. So yeah, turn out tomorrow if you're in Greene County. And if you're inclined to consider my opinion, vote no on the casino. I'll be back in just a couple minutes with Max Wellman.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day uno, one of webcast1live.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Gosh, there are just all sorts of great musicians here in Central Iowa. That was Mary McAdams. I need to get Mary back on the show sometime too. Hey, I want to thank Gateway Marketing Cafe for sponsoring this segment of our show, and also thank the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit, a great event coming up in November, where you can learn how to start and nurture your own business. I also want to thank Hawk Restaurant in the East Village. All right. Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit. Maybe we'll have to save this for another program. But the problem with eggs, the DeCoster eggs. I mean, just the big confinement eggs. 2,000 people got sick a couple years ago when this happened, and we were expecting all sorts of crackdown, no pun intended, on the violators. Well, apparently it has not happened. Again, I'm suggesting that we actually should switch currencies from dollars and paper to eggs. I mean, eggs, a great global currency. Anybody can grow an egg. Well, if you got a chicken. And it's something valuable, tangible, something substantive that you can say, okay, hey, this egg is worth, half your breakfast. And I actually have been bartering a lot with eggs lately. I just got a 6-pack of beer in exchange for eggs the other day. And since I don't really drink beer, I ended up using that beer to barter computer services. It's a wonderful world. And I know, Mr. IRS agent, you're watching the show and you're thinking, oh, why did you pay taxes on that, dude? Yeah, and I know I probably was supposed to, but come on, how do you value that kind of exchange in the current system that you all use to assess these sort of things? But we'll talk more about that because I want to tie that in with with Congress's efforts to continue to slash the food stamp program. Also, again, the ongoing situation with DeCoster not being held accountable. And a few other elements. Oh, well, we got to also tie it in with the whole tainted salad issue. The problem that they didn't want us to talk about. Well, apparently we're going to be able to talk about it now because we know where those tainted greens came from. Welcome to the program, Max Wellman. Hey, Max, good to see you.
Good to see you. I always say I'm like the palate cleanser on this show.
The palate cleanser?
Yeah. We go from all the serious issues, and then here I come talking about.
My audience is like, oh gosh,
music.
I'm so glad Max is here. Now maybe Ed will shut up and stop talking about depressing things like salmonella infested eggs.
I've got all kinds of depressing issues. I sing sad love songs.
Well, I know I was going to say you sing about them all the time. Yeah.
It's horrible.
So how do you keep your spirits up when you're singing all these sad love songs?
Well, I mix it up with a few happy ones. And, just, well, yeah, I guess, I don't know. I just ride that wave, Ed.
I was thinking about this the other day. What percentage of all the songs ever written are love songs?
Oh.
Half?
Well,
Maybe
over half.
Over half.
I would definitely say over half.
So 60%, 65.
Oh, I think it might even be higher than that.
Okay, so
I'd say 70%.
70% of all songs ever written are love songs.
Yeah.
What percentage of all the love songs ever written are happy?
Oh. It's definitely a bittersweet genre. Yeah, I remember when I first started, I realized after several shows that maybe 90% of these songs that I was singing were sad love songs. And so I had to mix that up a little bit. But I don't know, I like that darkness sometimes. I don't know.
Well, and maybe
it's expressive.
Well, yeah. Again, a lot of the great music that's been written, whether it's songs or concertos or symphonies, comes from this deep, unsettled passion.
Here's how I say it, because I've done a little bit of songwriting myself, several songs, and it seems to come and go in flurries. And I only want to write when I'm miserable, because when you're really happy, you're just too busy being really happy. There's nothing really to say about it, but it can be therapeutic if you're, just miserable. Got to get it out.
So if I hear of you coming out with some new songs,
you better check up on me. Yeah.
I'll know it's not been going well for you, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But no composing lately. That's good news.
I wouldn't say that. Well, okay. I know. I'm just I'm really happy right now, and I'm trying to write some happy music. So I'm gonna try and buck that trend.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that when I'm happy, I tend to write silly music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know you wrote music.
I do write some music. Yeah.
I want to hear it.
Not a lot. Well, the one that was popping into my mind last night when I was in a good mood was I'm going to call it My Loner Dog. Oh. And I'll explain it to you some other time, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
But it's just about the mixed bag of getting.
Do you still have your piano?
I do.
Oh, we need to just have a little, I don't know, what would you, just some house concert or something. Have a little jam session.
All right.
Anyway,
we should do that.
I need to promote something here.
You do, yeah. Let's get to it here. You've got so. There's always something one thing I love about your music is you're always finding new ways of presenting your material. I mean, the Songbook Project is great. I love that.
Thanks.
I get that disc in the mail. I pop it into my computer and I listen to it.
Well, good.
Yeah,
I'm glad you like it. Let's see. But this Wednesday is a very special kind of concert at Turner Jazz Center. I'm bringing in someone that I worked with in Indianapolis and that I studied with, Gary Walters, who's just a fantastic piano player. So, that's very exciting. It's 8 o'clock on Wednesday, and we're, developing this show to take it on the road for a few showcases later this fall. This is going to be like the touring version of my trio.
And where is it again? Is it
at Turner Jazz Center Wednesday night? It's a new jazz facility on campus at Drake University.
Have you been there? Of it? No, I've not heard. Where on the Drake campus is it?
It's hooked up to the Harmon Fine Arts Center.
Okay,
and it's very obvious once you're on that block.
Which end of the building is it?
The let's see, it would be the
north.
No, it would be the east side of that building, kind of tucked in.
Totally new to me. No.
Oh, you've got to see it. And it was built specifically as a jazz hall, which makes it pretty rare around here. Acoustically perfect for a show like this on Wednesday, and very chic kind of design. I mean, it looks like a throwback jazz lounge. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Good response from the student population. I know a lot of them aren't there in the summertime. But
right. I've done a couple of other things there that have received very good feedback from the students in the music department. They've got a great thing going on there with the jazz department. The last couple of years, they received some bigger donations and some really great players coming out of there.
Yeah. Well, it's a living art form that keeps evolving.
It's kind of it's coming into this time. Half of my experiences with classical musicians, and I studied classically and everything. So, people have been dooming the symphonies and the opera companies now for, several hundred years. It's always dying, but it's always there. And I think jazz has kind of moved into that world. I mean, it doesn't take very much looking to see all kinds of fantastic things going on, but it's this art form with a chip on its shoulder.
Now, I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of jazz, but I can't wrap my mind or my ears around some of the really atonal stuff. And I went to I love Abe Goldstein.
Yeah.
I helped promote a concert.
He's wonderful.
And I helped promote a concert. He was promoting out at the in Milwaukee. What's the name of that place?
What do you say, Casp Terrace, or is it
Cast Terrace? Yeah. And I can't remember the name of the band, but it was so out there. I couldn't appreciate it. It was way beyond my ability to.
Well, that's the trouble with it. This happens with classical music sometimes.
It always does. Exactly.
I think it's best. I love it when I run into somebody that doesn't have very much experience with jazz music and wants to get into it, because you can kind of feed them the right things to start with, you know. And I'll be honest, there's still a lot of contemporary stuff that I can't, that doesn't exactly do it for me. I've gotten to a point where I can appreciate it a lot more, but it's such a, people have been saying for a long time, it's crazy that it's all called jazz, because it is a very expansive genre that I could call what I do jazz music, and then you go out and hear some of the stuff that you're talking about, and it's the same thing. It's not. Yeah. It's the same universe, I guess, musically. They're using the same rules.
But a different galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah. If we want to push the space metaphor one step too far.
Let's get back to that NASA report now.
Yeah. Right. No, and I don't know how you would characterize your work, but to me it has a feel of you're taking the old gems that many people, probably many people older than me, grew up with, and finding a way to reconstitute them and make them relevant to a new time, a new audience, in a way that preserves their freshness, their integrity, and yet puts a new spin on it.
And I appreciate that. I actually don't. It used to bother me trying to put some label on what I am specifically in this genre and with the music I sing, but I don't bother with it anymore. I actually think there's a lot of what I do now is similar to what I was doing, when I was in college singing classical art songs. It feels the same to me. I run into this beautiful music, and to me it's all about interpreting this melody as a singer, and I don't really feel the need to put anything else on that, I guess.
Yeah, good. That's up for talk show hosts to do then, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
So Wednesday night at 8:00 at the Turner Jazz Center, my teacher and friend and now collaborator Gary Walters is coming in from Indianapolis to play a show. He's just fantastic. Steve Charleston will be with us on bass. Tickets are $20 at the door, or I guess maybe like 2 dozen eggs. If you want.
That would be. We can work it. We can work an exchange there. Sure. 2 dozen eggs and some airtime. Right?
Yeah, that's perfect. No. I was kidding, but it'll be a great night for sure.
Yeah, great. And so again, tickets are at maxwellmanmusic.org.
It's maxwellmanmusic.com, but you can actually just come that night.
Okay.
Doors open at 7:30 at the Turner Jazz Center on campus at Drake University. Concert starts at 8:00.
Great. Wow, that should be a good time, folks. That's this coming Wednesday, the Turner Jazz Center.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, you've got to check it out.
Brand new to me.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, and I was a student at Drake a long time ago and spent quite a bit of time in the Harmon Fine Arts Academy.
All right.
So I'm still trying. My mind is trying to find where this is, and I got to go see it.
Yeah, now you do.
And it sounds like Wednesday would be a really good time to do that. 7:30 the doors open. 8:00 the concert. Max Wellman with one of his mentors, Gary Walters from Indiana.
Yep.
All right. So check that out, folks. And again, thank you so much, Max, for joining us.
Thank you.
Again, I want to thank Gateway Marketing Cafe for sponsoring this segment of our show. Again, Gateway's been a great supporter of this alternative to right-wing radio, and also a great pillar of local business support here in the community. A grocery store that is not just that, but it's a cafe for breakfast, lunch, and supper, and also a catering service. I want to thank, again, all the businesses that make this show possible. I mentioned Dan Kelly and his real estate business, mention the Fighting Burrito. Check out more information about them and all the other businesses that make this show possible on my website, fallonforum.com. Thank you, Maddie Kane, for producing this program, and thank you, Webcast One Live, for providing the studio. I'll be back tomorrow.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.